Well, once again, Apex this Porsche Cup Tuesday Season 28 goes into battle as we've already hit halfway through this 12-week calendar. And here on Racing Nexus, we head to the famed and iconic road course for auto racing here at the Sebring International Raceway. Hello everybody, welcome to the Racing Nexus Broadcast Network as you join myself, Alex Goldschmidt, alongside me here in the commentary box and the Global Broadcast Centre, and our producer behind the scenes, Mr. Steve Kernick. The Sebring International Raceway measures just under 3 3/4 miles, 17 turns. First opened back in December of 1950, and it is located 70 miles south of Orlando in central southern Florida. This also occupies the site of the Hendricks Army Airfield, which was a B-17 bomber pilot training base between 1941 and 1946. It's only just 62 feet above sea level, but more to the point, these 17 turns with multiple different bits of undulation and different track surfaces will test our drivers over the course of our traditional 45-minute race with a mandatory pit stop. Let's take you through the race format here for Apex this Porsche Cup Tuesdays. Here's for season 28. So we're currently underway with the 10-minute 4-lap qualifying session. It is a 45-minute race with a mandatory pit stop due to fuel limitation on the Porsche 992.2 Cup cars of 45%, open setups, 1 fast repair, and then your first drive-through penalty happens at 12 incident points, then every 12 thereafter. Unlimited tyre sets at the driver's disposal. But let's have a look at the calendar as it stands as we now hit the halfway point of the championship season. Here at Sebring, then we go to a trip to the North Sea coast to Circuit Zandvoort in the Netherlands. Then we take a return back stateside to St. Petersburg for round 9. Imola will host round 10 of the championship season before the traditional run to the Temple of Speed on round 11 at Monza. And then on the 1st of September, the Circuit Spa-Francorchamps will be our final battleground. Let's also have a look at the championship standings coming into this 7th round, and it's Kenneth Ingersoll that leads the way by 3 points ahead of Keegan Girick, with Sean Teeter rounding out the top 3. 8 points separating them, with Chris Lahm, Kent Kruger and Jack Stadola not that far behind. They round out the top 6 with Corey Mitchell, Justin Aitchison, Kenton Bandy and Tina Renee rounding out your top 10. Meantime, in the Going Pros side of things, well, Michael Brock, the reigning and defending champion, has a big lead. 24 points over Mark Miller, with Kevin Zhu, the former points leader, rounding out the top 3 and makes a return tonight after being absent at Watkins Glen just a week ago. Matt Mosby, Derek Tyndall, Colin Winslow, Spencer Vaudoin, Brian Zinn, Ryan Ryder and Jeremy Littleton round out the top 10, who are covered by 62 points. Let's not forget in this championship, 8 rounds, the best 8 rounds will go towards the total score. And the drivers in both Going Pros and Mid-Pack Larrys that have the least amount of incident points over the season will get an additional 7-point bonus in the kitty. But with a minute and a half left to go, let's head trackside here at Sebring and let's bring him in. Steve Kernick, welcome back in, buddy. It should be a good one tonight because this qualifying session is getting rather heated with the top 27 drivers covered by 2 1/4 seconds.
It's absolutely wonderful to be here at Sebring. An incredible circuit to go and have a bit of fun at. But the drivers have also, in practice, been testing their luck. How far can they go? Flirting with those track limits. And even here in qualifying, drivers have been trying their hand to get that little bit more pace to get the fastest lap time. However, they've seen their backsides more than once. And as you said, it's incredibly close. It's incredibly competitive. And around Sebring, you do want to be at the sharp end of the field. Mid-grid gets a bit of concertina effect. They can land up with your race getting sucked into a bit of a problem.
Yep, as Thomas Lathrop makes his way through turn number 17 here at Sunset Bend, you can see the amount of rebound on the dampers on the suspension as he comes out of turn number 17. Is going to put the hammer down, but then ends up turning right and exits the circuit as we have 20 seconds on the clock. It is Matt Mosby in the number 35 who has posted the best lap in this qualifying session. Kenneth Ingersoll, who is leading the way in the mid-pack Larrys in qualifying at the moment, P9 at the minute for the number 69 car. He's doing his level best at the moment, but Michael Cummings is a new entry as far as I am aware. We've got Brian Lemke back on the grid, but he hasn't really set a lap time, but qualifying is completed. So it is going to be a big grid. We've got over 40 cars ready as we now turn our attention to the grid. Matt Mosby starts on pole position, Colin Winslow alongside. Overall points leader Michael Brock rounds out the top 3 with the man from St Kitts and Nevis, Kevin Zhu, rounding out row number 2. Kurt Moss and Mark Miller round out row 3 ahead of Brian Zinn and Thomas Lathrop. Kenneth Ingersoll takes pole on the inside of row 5. He'll be joined by the 010 from Canada, Spencer Bourdois. Then Michael Cummings and Derek Tyndall round out row number 6. Oz Exelu and Joseph Mayer round out the top 7 rows, with Sean Teeter Jack Stadola rounding out row number 8. Row 9, it's Ryan Ryder and Matt Schlosser. Tony Wallace and Kenton Bandy complete the top 20. Keegan Gehrig and Grayson Berv round out the top 11 rows ahead of Ryan Christoph and Kent Kruger. Sean Guru and Joao Gabriel, John Monsal, Justin Aitchison, Christopher Lau and Corey Mitchell round at the top 30. Tina Renee and Conor Menard round out your 16 first rows. Then row 17, Ken Pepin and Matt Bond, Brian Lemke, John Agadello, Brandon Banks, Marcus Monson, Donald Mensing, Paul Bailey and Brad Parker. The last 6 drivers not setting a lap time on this. So Brian Lemke did 2 laps in qualifying, but we are just waiting for the last few drivers to ready up on the grid here at the Sebring International Raceway as we now get into the second half of the real meat and potatoes of this season, number 28. And bearing in mind the last 2 drivers that have won the titles overall are on the grid, Lemke and Brock. Mosby and Winslow have now taken their place on the starting grid. We haven't got long because it will be the case that the 5 red lights will go on. It looks like we're going to have a standing start here. So green flag, we're underway. Let's see what the run is going down into turn 1. Good start by Matt Mosby. Michael Brock to the inside of Colin Winslow as we go into the left-hand sweeper here at turn number 1. Brock gets through, Winslow down to second. Ingersoll and Cummings are losing positions. They ran at the top 11, top 12 at the minute as we head into turn 2. And this is where things are going to get rather crucial. I think everyone apart from Brad Parker has managed to get through. It's nearly 3 wide at the bottom part of the top 8, one of which is Kurt Moss, who's already down a spot. He's behind Mark Miller and he's in front of Brian Zinn. But here we go, Moss and Zinn. Zinn going to the outside on the run down to the heavy braking zone into the left-hander here at hairpin turn. Still keeping the Jamaican at elbow's length, but bit of a touch between the pair and Moss goes round. Oh dear, Kurt Moss gets damaged with the left rear, bumper's a bit dishevelled and is rotated. It's the returns to garage. Derek Tyndall in the Red Bull Zero Sugar edition, I think, because we've got him and somebody else running. He's got a bit of a chrome flare to that livery now, and it glints, the sunset glints off that car, doesn't it?
It's absolutely amazing, but also a couple of drivers getting a few scratch marks and adding a new set of colours to their cars as everything concertinaed up, as we saw unfortunately for Moss getting thrown down the order. But we've got a few interesting drives. Joseph Mayer trying to move up through the order with the stealth livery. He's got a bit of pressure from Brian Zinn right on his tail. And Oz not too far behind him, the Jägermeister, having a little bit of a problem with Jack Stradola getting the run on the inside down the straightaway.
Yep, Stadola now ahead. Exelu in that bright orange livery. It is going to be 3-1 into Sunset Bend because here comes Sean Teets and he dives through on Jack Stadola, and here comes Brian Ryder for good measure. Oz Excellent losing a lot of positions, and he's got Tony Wallace closing in on him. Meantime, Matt Mosby has a lead of just over half a second ahead of Michael Brock. Winslow, Zhu, Miller, Lathrop, Baudoir, Ingersoll leading in mid-pack. Larry's rounds out the top 8 with Tyndall and Cummings completing the top 10. And more to the point, it is going to be the case of how much are you going to risk it here in this race. So yeah, it's just going to be the case of how can you get around this circuit and make sure you don't make any mistakes. That's going to be the key thing. But Michael Brock is trying to get a little bit of aggressive starts in closing in to Matt Mosby. Winslow and Zhu are going with. There's a big gap between them and Mark Miller, with Lathrop right on the 120 Mobil 1 car's tail. But it is not going to be easy. This is a circuit where you don't really breathe until you get down the Almond Straight.
Well, that being said, yellow flags coming out for Corey Mitchell and John Agudelo, who landed up getting a little bit knocked in the mix as they enter the left-hand corner. And there's the tap, just ever so slightly nose to front. And that was it. Game, set, match for both drivers.
Definitely no advantage point being paid there, because neither of them got an advantage. They were both rotating quicker than Kylie Minogue on a stage. But meantime, we are at sunset, so it is going to be the case we could be as alt-right. Donald Mensing has got a mechanical black flag, so that has meant he has returned to pit lane. Looks like Kurt Moss might have decided to call time on this race. He can use this as a dropped score. But here comes Michael Brock trying to go down the Almond Straight into Sunset Bend on Matt Mosby. So at the minute in pits, Corey Mitchell, Kurt Moss, Donald Mensing. Some of the drivers have called time on the race early. Looks like Matt Bond is one of them, Paul Bailey, Grant Banks, Marcus Monson. I think they got a bit of a rude awakening. I mean, when you've got 40 cars on the grid from a standing start heading into T1, it's not going to be quite easy, but I think really would be nice to see what happened between Corey Mitchell and John Agudelo from a different angle, maybe an overhead shot, and that might give us a bit more insight into what happens sometimes with the camera angles that we have. But we do have to say, as always, with our good friends from TrackCams for Gourmets, trackcams22.com, they always provide us with some really stellar cameras here for us at Race and X's. Michael Brock just showing his nose, letting Mosby know that he's there. Colin Winslow is the quickest driver on the circuit, 2 minute 1.343, and he is 7 tenths. Well, previously the gap was 7 tenths between him and Michael Brock, but you can see on board with the number 421 repping the Mountain Dew Baja Blast livery on that car. But we've seen it before between Mosby and Brock. We didn't see that at Watkins Glen, let's not forget, Steve, last week. Mosby had a torrid time, whereas Brock just romped to victory from pole position. And right moment there for Michael Brock, and that has allowed Colin Winslow to get through.
Now a quick move for Colin Winslow to get it done and dusted. And we've got that camera angle of what happened between Corey Mitchell and John Agudelo into the corner.
So here's the overhead shot with Corey Mitchell, and it's going to be a, let's just see, on the curbs. And it was Agudelo around the outside. And it just goes to show that it does take two to tango, let's be completely honest. But sometimes a driver is going to try and open up the steering. What I mean by that is that they're not going to put so much angle in, and that's exactly what we saw there with Corey Mitchell, who just got tagged on the right front wheel, the right front wing, and both of them spun around at the same time. Thomas Lathrop in 6th position, who's up 2 spots at the minute, just puts the fastest lap of the race down, a 2 minute 1.326. Brian Lemke, no surprise, well, didn't qualify that well, didn't actually set a lap time, but he is up 16 positions up to P19. And as I say that, he did have a little off track, but maybe just 2 wheels off onto the grassy stuff here at Sebring. There is the season 26 Going Pros champion Ryan Ryder in the Pink Pig Porsche. He's just had a bit of a faux pas there. Not too sure what happened with the 181. Of course, taking the livery that Zach Peterson used to win in the mid-pack Larry's with, I think, 10 wins out of 12 races, which was probably, I think, the highest strike rate to victory. Oh no, Tony Wallace. Oh, that was coming out to the hairpin turn and going into the Fangio chicane. And that very patriotic livery ends up looking a little bit second-hand on the front end of it.
Not quite how you want to go, and drivers will have to really consider it, as we see Matt Mosby up into the lead of the race, is breaking away from Colin Winslow. Michael Brock holding on to third, but I do want to point out the lights are on, and it is getting a little bit darker out there. The shadows are going to become a bit of a problem for everyone who's practiced in the day. This is where life gets a little bit tricky, because your braking markers tend to disappear into the dark. And yes, Sebring has got lights all over the circuit, but you can be dazzled by them as well.
Yep, and it's always about the person that makes the transition better from sunset to night time. Of course, braking markers, apex points, you've got to recalibrate your senses, both in terms of vision and obviously what you have to react to in front of you. Jack Stadola at the moment still competing with Sean Teeter in the Monster Energy Hard T Beast livery. He's brought that one back. He had it on the BMW last season, and he's brought it back here. That is a really good looking livery on that Porsche, I must say. But we got two cracking liveries battling each other. Stadola in the Jordan Formula One Benson and Hedges livery. Of course, you all do miss the late great Eddie Jordan, a famed and well characterised personality within the Formula One paddock, first being a team principal and then becoming a pundit for many a people to hear his words of wisdom, and that is sorely missed. But Stadola looking for a possible opportunity. To the outside he goes, late on the brakes goes the 406. But Teeter holds the position going through hairpin turn and into the Fangio chicane. Meantime, as well, I don't think a couple of drivers are having a few slight off tracks. They've got to be very careful though with regards to track limits, because as soon as they get that black flag, it's the trundle of shame down the pit lane, aka drive-through penalty. But Stadola keeping Teeter very, very honest, and bearing in mind that Jack Stadola was the one that was leading after the first couple of rounds when we started season 28, but a mistake there from Sean Teeter. Jack Stadola swerves to the right just to avoid as we ride on board with the 406, and he is through. That is P3 in the mid-pack Larry's division, with Jack Stadola now rounding out the overall top 12.
While the two were having a solid fight, that's allowed Joseph Mia and Oz to close up the distance as well, to see if they can join into the party. See if they can push their nose forward. They're running so far in 10th and 11th position, with Brian Zinn in 9th, further up the road, who's got a little bit of a buffer from them, and he holds on to that 9th position. At the moment though, just not finding his feet. Michael Brock sets the fastest lap time of the race and continues to try and close down on Winslow after a critical mistake that's thrown him down, but don't count out Kevin Zhu, who looks to try and improve. A little bit of a crinkle cut chip on the nose, but still putting in the effort, and yellow flags coming out for Sean Guru. Let's take a look at what happened.
Okay, Sean Guru, this is coming down the Ullman Straight, and he's got one to his inside. Oh, and he gets a tag. Yeah, Sean Guru, well, he did rep Ampol Red Bull Racing with Ford Mustang, as Colin Winslow now is through. Well, it's Matt Mosby has got to watch his ping, so he might be blinking a little bit on the live timing, which is why we saw that he'd gone back into the race lead. But Mosby for the TWRS team. TWS have been a fixture in most recent seasons of the ASRL, also part of the broadcast schedule here on Racer Nexus. So if you are watching already and you have not liked, shared and subscribed, have you been living under a rock for the past few months? We need your help. It's one click from you guys and girls out there in YouTube land, but it means a heck of a lot to us here at Racer Nexus. But the battle continues as our leading drivers come through Bishop Bend, through Genderbean, through Lamar, and down the long backstretch here at the Ullman Straight into turn 17 and a very, very bumpy and undulating Sunset Bend. It's very unforgiving, that corner, but Michael Brock is starting to close on in, and last time round the man in the 421 Mountain Dew Baja Blast Porsche was quickest of anybody with a 2-minute .629. And as we fast approach within the next 3 minutes, we'll be at 1/3 of the timer counting down, the ticker running down from 45 minutes to 0. Another thing here is that it's more the case of pit stops, and this is always a talking point. This has been a talking point since myself and Chris Murphy started working together on this championship in season 26, which was last year. And it's always a big crux, because some drivers will have a bit of a different strategy when it comes to fuel. Some people will be, right, Ken Pepin has just had a black flag, so he's hit the instant point limit and he's in the pit serving his drive-through penalty. But it's so difficult to understand the mentality when it comes to pit stops here, Steve, and it's not easy here on iRacing. There's so much information the driver has to process: tyre temperature, degradation, fuel level, how many litres of fuel you're using per lap. And that is one of the key things. If those tyres start falling off a cliff, then your fuel mileage is going to go with it.
Yeah, that's it. And also you take into consideration for those that have had a few accidents that land up with a bit of a problem as well. And not too far from that, we had actually Justin Atchison and Christopher Lunn. Looks like they came together. So a quick look down through Sunset, and
Aitchison just lost it in front of Ryder.
Very
yeah, the back,
close.
yeah. Oh, no, but he got a secondary tag, and that has damaged the front right. That's Camden. Well, that's called.
That was Christopher Lum that took it all into the nose, coming around the corner with a bit of understeer going in, adding onto it.
Yeah, and that basically meant that the right front wheel, steering rack, suspension, uprights all got a smack. Probably damage to the coolant system as well, because that's where the radiators are placed on these cars. But, well, Michael Brock is now, well, this is the thing. Colin Winslow and Matt Mosby, I don't know what's happening with them, but their internet connection might be a bit of a problem for them. But here goes Winslow to the outside of Mosby. Here comes Brock, making it three as a crowd. So this is more to the case that Matt Mosby is fighting a little bit of a losing battle, just to be honest with you, as Ken Pepin, he's just been hit with another black flag. That's either for speeding for pit lane or pit lane exit crossing the white line. But look at this. You can see Mosby's under significant pressure now from Winslow and from Brock, mainly because of the fact that the car's looking a little bit of a handful. And that is not what he does not want that right now. He does not need that right now, as Brock to the outside of Winslow. That's a brave move by the 421. But Brock is still going to keep it pinned. This is going to be wheel-to-wheel, shades of Paff and Glock in the season opener in the 2018 DTM Championship at the Hockenheimring, where they were wheel-to-wheel for about 50 kilometres, I think it was. And it was one of the biggest battles in DTM history. And that was the last year that Mercedes was in the DTM Championship as an official manufacturer before Toto Wolff pulled the plug, and then they went to concentrate on Formula E after that season. But Winslow keeping Brock at bay. Mosby has bolted to the tune of 7.5 tenths of a second as we are into the second third of this race. Brock might go for a late lunge here. Yes, he does. And Winslow does not really want to fight it, because he's going to try and get the crisscross here out of Sunset Bend. Brock's got a little bit of damage to the rear bumper, but try and pick up the toe there, Colin Winslow. Slots right there, like literally sides across the track, right into the wheel tracks of Michael Brock, as Kevin Dew has come into the pits. Now, what has happened to him? Or has he decided, I'm going to try and do the 3000 IQ strap? Matt Schlosser in the pit lane. So a couple of drivers decided to get out of trouble a little bit early. So send it, Stanimel, what the WTF is a kilometre? Do you want to ask Logan Sargent that question, mate?
Well, with that being said, Kevin going and really taking the opportunity, part of the top 5, first of the top 5 to pull in the pits, and makes you want to be in the cars, listening, to be a fly on the wall when you suddenly hear that heading in the top 5 drivers have now managed to get themselves in the pits. Is it going to be the right thing to do, the undercut, to really pull them up through the order? We've seen it in the past that was able to work out, but the question is, can they do it again? That is going to be the big one, especially on a very, very tight track of Sebring. It's not a circuit that you can easily overtake, especially into the second sector.
Well, I want to know what on earth has happened to Matt Schlosser, because he has stopped somewhere and he's not moved, according to the live timing and scoring I'm seeing. That he's completed 8 laps of this race. We're on lap 9 at the moment. Matt Schlosser had gone in for a pit stop, but well, it's yeah, just disregard Marcus Monson hitting the top of the timesheets, folks, on the timing tower. He's only just come into the pit lane, but Mosby is effectively still our leader. Brock is now through and starting to clear away from Winslow, so the battle lines are being drawn here. But Mosby versus Brock, we've seen that battle twice again already this season, and Mosby has been the one that has come out on top in terms of the battle lines that have been drawn between the pair. But he knows, well, Michael and Matt, they have mutual respect for each other as racers. They've raced a lot together, and they understand how each other works. So that's why we're seeing this really wonderful dynamic battle that is going to go right the way down to the final round of the season on the 1st of September at Spa-Francorchamps in the Ardennes Forest. But Michael Brock is still giving chase, and that gap is coming down, and Brock, oh, that's a late lunge and a half to the outside, but can he get the crisscross, because it's a right-hander here? Unfortunately not, but he's throwing everything, including the kitchen sink. Hopefully Jenny hasn't ripped it out of the any sort of nice marble granite top shelving that's on the top of the kitchen. But again, you can just see Brock is not wanting to wait around. He wants to clear at Mosby and put something in between himself and Winslow, because this battle is raging on like an ever bigger fire that's starting to intensify as the race goes on, because we're not that far away from nightfall, and this is where the mistakes might come in.
We also got to think about the championship, since we're on the back half of it now. Everyone's looking for those crucial points and just trying to make it work. And especially, it's been a long season thus far. It's a long race, but you're also starting to work out, okay, where do I need to be? How much space do I need to have between my competition? And what's the closest to me? And at the moment, Michael Brock feeling the pressure from leading out the championship to sit in second place and to have your fierce rivals around you. It's never an easy run with the likes of Michael Brock, and Mosby's
had a moment. Mosby has had a moment, and he dropped nearly a second in the final sector. Winslow to the inside of Brock here at T1. So Brock did go for the race lead. Brock might still have it, but we're coming up to turn 2, which is the left-hander coming up. Brock is going to keep the momentum around the outside. He just about covers off Winslow. Good move there by the 421. Just on the edge of adhesion there. And even with the damage to that back bumper and rear diffuser, the 421 car is still holding on to the race lead. He is looking for what is more than likely going to be another win on the bounce. I mean, bearing in mind, looking at the driver's standings and the strike rate at the moment, Michael Brock is looking for his 4th win in this season. So, and that's out of the opening 7 rounds, and that will really further extend his championship lead at this point. But we still have just over 23 minutes and 40 seconds left on the ticker before we get to 0, and then Barney will wave that checkered flag on the start-finish straight. But Brock, with clear air in front of him, is going to try and see if he can start pulling away from Winslow. But Winslow and Mosby are sort of doing a bit of an indirect WWE Hell in a Cell tag team match here against Michael Brock. So it's like saying putting John Cena and Brock Lesnar versus The Undertaker in Hell in a Cell at WrestleMania. But Brock at the moment is doing exactly what he needs to do. He's putting the car on the right racing line, but he's got to watch these track limits. and everyone else behind him has got to watch these track limits, because one wrong move, that puts them over the edge and it gives them the black flag, and that means drive-through penalty.
Yeah, I think you need to go an update of madness in the cage. You put in an Obafemi, and that would also go and change things up. Obafemi.
The ruler.
Yeah, there we go. One that's made Brock Lesnar take his boots off, and at the moment, Michael Brock not looking to take his racing boots off and get any sort of retirement, while Colin Winslow having a go at him. He's got Mosby right behind to try and push on and see what he can do to try and stay into the sharp end of the order. But the drivers starting to feel it, and it does look like as the track starts to become night, everything starts to open up. Mark Miller and Spencer Bourdon fighting each other out.
Yeah, the 120 versus the 010. So Mobil 1 versus Golf. But again, Mark Miller not having the greatest run of luck last time out, if I remember correctly, at Watkins Glen. But look at this, Spencer Bourdon weaving from side to side, just making sure that he is keeping Mark Miller's mirrors full of that blue, that light blue and orange livery, which looks wonderful on that car. But they are finding the likes of Derek Tyndall, Brian Zinn, Michael Cummings, they are within earshot. So this is now a quintet battling away, as well, we've got a meatball flag for Marcus Monson, who is now returned to garage after lap 10. Must have been on the start-finish straight with a number 42 Red Bull livery Porsche of Derek Tyndall, the man from Maximum Effort Motorsports, teammate of Brian Zinn. Maybe the two teammates can work together, but look at the run that Zinn's got on his teammate, and that's not going to be easy to try. And Jen, Michael's wife, goes, wait, how is he in first? I left for 2 seconds. And then Send It Stanimo went, yeah, I went to get my DoorDash. Good win, Mike. Well, he hasn't won yet. You know, we're still 20 minutes left to go, and we are still awaiting for more pit stops, because Kevin Zhu pitted on lap 8. That's 4 laps to go. We're on to lap number 13 out of a predicted 22. Mark Miller gets very close to the outside wall coming out of Sunset Bend, but now Zinn is closing in on Tyndall. And look at this, Zinn up the Zinn is trying to keep, well, he's going around the outside at the moment at T1. He finds a roadblock in the form of Spencer Bourdon into turn 2. Tyndall, his teammate, is to his inside, and Brian Zinn has to open up the steering, but he's going to get the run here. Looks like Zinn's got a little bit of better traction in comparison with Tyndall. You can see just by the turning how calm that steering angle, how smooth it looked, as Joe Mayer and Grayson Berv now pit on lap number 12 of this race. But one of the things about Sebring here is the fact that when nighttime comes in and the headlights go on, what brings it to Sebring? A completely different atmosphere, a different feel to this circuit, especially with regards to the old 12 hours of Sebring back in the heyday. Even though there is now more of a heyday in the FIA World Endurance Championship than there has been for many years, back from, like, say, the early 2000s to the early 2010s. And then we had a little bit of a lull, but still these cars are really going absolutely flying around this circuit. We're on lap 13 out of a predicted 22, and more to the point that Michael Brock is starting to stretch the legs on the number 421. He's pulled a gap over Colin Winslow to the tune of just over 0.7 of a second. The big question is, when are our top drivers going to pit? Well, the answer is not quite yet.
Going in that little bit longer, trying to see what they can do. Back to the battle, a little bit further down though, as Brian Zinn trying his absolute best to get the runaway from Derek Tyndall. Michael Cummings is still involved in the fight. Spencer not too far up the road. The drivers are trying everything they can to really stand on the gas, fight their way through, push on as far as they can, but we've already seen Kenneth Ingersoll and Kenton Brady pulling into the pits. That means Michael Cummings takes up the lead of the mid-pack Larrys. Jack Stodola in second. Sean Tita holds on to third. And now have to consider 17 minutes to go. You're running out of time. How much fuel saving can you actually get out of these cars before you get into the pits? And none more than at the front of our pros, where they've got a little bit of breathing room to play with. Michael Brock, Colin Winslow finding who's going to pull the trigger first between them.
All I'm going to say is this. I did say, you know, you never count out Brian Lemke. He's up 25 positions. He started 35th. He is now up into P10. So Brian Lemke, can he get himself a little bit further up the order? We haven't seen Brian all the way through this championship season for season 28. And his fastest lap so far has been a 2-minute 1.190, which is around about 6.5 tenths off of this man here as Michael Brock hits the curbing, unsettles the car. It's bouncing up and down like someone jumping off the bridge with the bungee cord attached. But he still has a lead of 0.6 of a second, just under 17 minutes to go. We are nearly about to head into the final third. So at the minute, the top 17 yet to do the pit stop. Neither has Christopher Lamb, who's gained 10 spots. Ryan Ryder and Conor Menard could be possibly the next ones to dive into the pit lane, but Conor Menard has lost a couple of positions. Well, it looks like Conor Menard has dropped down the order as Brock, Winslow, Mosby, Lathrop, they're all in the pits. So Miller could be taking... No, Miller's going to come in. Look, the activity. Brian Zinn stays out. Brian Zinn stays out. One of our fellow commentators here. So Brian Zinn in the number 82 Maximum Effort Motorsports car for iRacing on that livery. That's a very 80s style livery on Brian Zinn's car, which looks pretty good. Brian joins me in the booth normally on a 9 p.m. Eastern on a Thursday night for the upcoming second round of the High Point Racing IMSA series. But he is making sure that he can do what he can. But the big question is, well, Michael Brock has basically made sure with a 12.9 second pit stop on his marks, he is ahead of Colin Winslow, Thomas Lathrop, Kevin Zhu, Kenneth Ingersoll in 6th position. Now, one of the people that has come close to taking an overall victory, and he was in the top 3, but Kenneth Ingersoll at the moment, could he get into the top 5? Ryan Ryder comes out after 13.2 seconds stationary in the pit lane. John Monsalve 13.5, Kent Kruger 14.5, Sean Guru, what's happened there? He's been in there for over 20 plus seconds, so if he's been caught speeding in the pit lane, it will add an additional 35 seconds to his pit stop. And oh dear, Mike was on the way home with dinner tonight and our house was hit by lightning. I had to call 911. Well, somebody had to call the police. You know on that one. Sorry, Jen, I just had to make that joke. But nevertheless, Brian Zinn, where could this potentially put him? Because bearing in mind, with regards to the pit stops, it's a fairly lengthy pit stop here anyway, Steve. So we're probably talking 40 seconds. It could put him maybe... I'm wondering if that's going to keep him in the top 10. If that keeps him close to the top 5 after his pit stop, he's got an opportunity as he comes in. So that means that Michael Brock will take the lead in about 20 seconds. But with 14.25 minutes left to go, it could be the case that how much has this helped Brian Zinn? He's not yet hit his marks in pit lane. And now he does. So at the 20-second mark, he's probably going to be another 20 seconds in the pit lane. So Michael Brock retakes the race lead here on laps number 16 out of a potential 21. Kevin Zhu crossed the line, Zinn in 5th. Kenneth Ingersoll's going to be next out. But let's see, where does Brian Zinn come out in all of this? Will he come out in front of Mark Miller? The answer is yes, but not... Well, he's coming out as Miller goes past him. But Brian Zinn quickly on the charge, quickly on the warpath. He's trying to look to the inside, but Miller covers him off. Good strategy call there from Brian Zinn. Jen, I hope that everyone, including the young man in the household, Jason, is all okay, obviously with that lightning strike. But nevertheless, Michael Brock is now 2.5 seconds ahead of Colin Winslow. His pit stop was absolutely mighty. As Miller and Zinn go into battle. Oh, who's that off the circuit that I saw from the left-hand side? Someone was off, and that was behind. Mark Miller.
That looks like may have landed up into the dirt.
Oh, Ken Pepin. Late dive there from Zinn. Gets through. Bold, brave and beautiful manoeuvre by the number 82. Gets through on the 120. So this is going to be an absolute slugfest. I think in the words of good old Jim Ross here, and you'll appreciate this comment, Steve, this is going to be a real slobber knocker. Boomer sooner, that's all I'm saying on that one.
Oh, I've got a smile on my face of note. But I'm also just taking a look of Kevin Zhu. Currently up into 4th place. He was the first car to pit out of the top 5. Finds himself in 4th place, trying to make up a bit of time and see where exactly can he stay in for the fight. And we'll be going and thinking, right, game on. I've got to push a little bit up the road from me is 3rd place. Thomas Lathrop just ahead, and Kevin, loses the rear through sunset just as we got the cams to him.
Yeah, and that's given Brian Zinn, and Kevin Zhu is having to wait. Oh, he's really not helped himself with those tyres. There might be a vibration coming through as a direct consequence, of course, with the iRacing service. Brian Zinn! What's happened to Brian? He's had a mechanical black flag. What's happened to Brian Zinn? He's gone straight on. Oh, left front's been damaged. Brian Zinn, what's happened to him? I don't believe it. Brian Zinn was on course for a top 5 finish, and it's all gone horribly wrong for the 82. I cannot believe it. Kenneth Ingersoll now P4 and is 6 seconds behind Thomas Lathrop, but we really need to take a look and see what happened. Let's have a look. So Brian Zinn is coming through into T1, and he's gonna he's had a failure. He's had a failure of some kind. I don't think that might have been a technical failure, but what can we say about that? That is a real shame. That has been a hardware failure of some kind. That has stolen away from Brian Zinn that could have been so much worse if someone had actually clattered into him and pinned him into the wall.
I had a chat to Brian Zinn yesterday, just asking him what's his thoughts on the race and how is he feeling. He said, I would like to have a race where nothing goes wrong. I had a Road America 6 hour that was dreadful, that we had to go and eventually just put our head down and walk away from it. And to have that in the final 10 minutes of the race, a failure on hardware that threw him out of the running, I mean, that is just... It's gut-wrenching. It's absolutely gut-wrenching that it all fell apart. Yeah, that's a real shame with just around about 10 minutes to go for Brian. He's going to be absolutely gutted. I know I'm probably going to, when I speak to him before the broadcast for HPR IMSA this coming Thursday, 9 PM Eastern here on Race and Nexus. It's not going to be... I think he's going to be hurt more than anything, and I think his pride is going to be stung a little bit. But meantime, Spencer Beaudoin, who has he got behind him? Oh, well, Brian Lemke, as a result of all the dramas in front, has now gone up to P8. So what can we say about this? And, well, Brian has just come into the chat. Absolutely, and in capital letters, unbelievable. Heart goes out to you, buddy. It really does. But here comes Kevin Zhu round the outside, and that's on Derek Tyndall. That was brave from the man from St Kitts and Nevis, as Lemke, I think, just kicked up the dust going through the chicane heading into Fangio. But more to the point, there are the battle lines here in Sebring, Steve, have been very much well, the way it's going at the minute, it's very much been the case that everyone's got their elbows out and everyone's got the standing knives attached for good measure. Yeah, and that's it. And they've got the combat knife off to the side just in case for any extra moments. It's turning into an absolute fight of note, and considering how close the championship is to one another, you've got to really think about what you can do. With Ingersoll currently leading out the mid-pack Larrys, Michael Cummings in second place, and all that Michael has to worry about is a four-way brawl of the top of 5th, 6th, 7th, 8th of our pro class before he even has to worry about Jack Stradola. He just needs to keep ahead of this pack that I'm sure if they get any closer, they're going to try and get past him.
Right, Brian's explained it. I hit the wall and got meatballed after Kevin backed up right in front of me, tried to avoid, slammed into the wall, broke the suspension. So my initial suspicion, front left, was correct because of the way that the car was angling on the front side of it. That's a real shame for Brian, but I've got no words. It's rare that a commentator's speechless, even though I'm still talking, but about what's happened to Brian's in, that is a real shame. But nevertheless, Zhu, Tyndall, Lemke battling over P8. And, Spencer Vaudois lost it! Mistakes are coming in within the last 8 minutes of this race, and Spencer Vaudois is the last one to have a slight rotation in the 010 golf cart. And that has put Brian Lemke up to P7 and only 2 seconds behind the man that's second at the minute in the mid-pack Larrys, Michael Cummings in the number 18 car. So yeah, it is now the case of, yes, if you want to battle, fine, but sometimes as you rightly said, Steve, you've got to look at the bigger picture, look at the championship, whereas Brian Lemke is only making sporadic appearances this season. So I think he's giving himself more of a challenge. We saw him in season 26, and I know a lot of the viewers with us here on Racer Nexus will agree that Lemke was absolutely dominant in season 26, despite the fact of Michael Brock giving him a run for his money that went right down to the final round of the season. Then Michael Brock got his redemption a la Daniel Ricciardo just one season later. But we have 6 minutes to go. And this is going to be an absolute free-for-all because Kevin Zhu closing in on Brian Lemke. And this is the battle for P7 overall, but more to the point, this is for P5 in the going pros. So hold on to your hats, grab your popcorn, your soft drink of choice, and join us for the roller coaster ride here at the Sebring International Raceway. It is going to be a good one, but Michael Brock is still leading. Colin Winslow is starting to take time out of him in the final few minutes, as that was a bit close to the wall, coming out of Sunset Bend by Kevin Zhu, nearly tagged the left front into the wall, and that could have done exactly the same damage to what happened to Brian's in just a few laps ago.
You've got to be careful, but in the dark of the night, you start to see the headlights bright as ever in your review mirrors, and I went and spoke about you can get a little bit dazzled by it. Well, this is the case, constantly switching around, and these drivers utilizing VR, triple screens and single screens will suddenly have a little bit of light kicking up in places in the corners of their eyes that will go and make life a little bit more interesting. Our top runners, first, second and third, just have managed to open up enough room, but for Kenneth Ingersoll, a solid run on his part. He's well enough away from Mark Miller. Michael Cummings is trying to do everything he can, but Brian Lemke all over the back of Michael Cummings that can possibly land up with a bit of a problem. We've seen it in the dark. You can miss your brake markers. You're relying on cones that are on the left-hand side of the circuit as your braking markers, and those can quite easily, well, have Kenny the Cone killed off and thrown off to the side.
Yeah, but meantime, Michael Brock is responding to Colin Winslow and matched him in the opening sector, as we see the big rate of speed that Lemke and Zhu are having through Bishop Bend into Genderbean, into Lamar, and then down the Ullman Straight. 4 minutes to go as Michael Brock will bring us on to 2 laps remaining. So it is the case of, can he hold on to this race lead? Well, it's expanding now as Michael Brock runs it through T1, close to the wall on the left-hand side. So 2 laps remaining for the 421. Winslow and Lathrop rounding out your top 3. There is Winslow. Lathrop is about 9 and a bit seconds back, but he's held on very, very well. Took his first season as, oh dear, Marcus Monson, another mechanical black flag for the number 37, has only completed 10 laps in this race, but more to the point, Talk about a fall from grace. Matt Mosby is all the way down in 11th position. He has struggled since the pit stop phase. And he is right behind Spencer Baudouin for the final spot in the overall top 10. But more to the point, this is the battle for P8 in the Going Pros. We're nearly halfway through the penultimate lap of this race. Next time by, it will be the white flag as Mosby trying to get a little bit of damage limitation exercised here, but Baudouin is making the back end of the 0-1-0 as wide as humanly possible. As a little bit of a touch between the pair, nearly unsettles the back left of Baudouin, and then a little bit of a tail slide by Mosby. That has not helped him, and that has brought in Jack Stadola, who is P3 at the moment in the mid-pack Larry's division. But again, these battles are thick and fast. Kevin Zhu versus Brian Lemke for P7. They're covered by about 4/10. Mosby, Baudouin, Stadola, that's the second covering them, as that's a bit too deep into the corner by Matt Mosby. He was trying something desperate there to see if he could get through and put the frighteners on Spencer Baudouin, but unfortunately not this time. So here we go. We are just under 2 minutes remaining as Michael Brock will now bring us on to the white flag lap here at Sebring. White flag in the air, one more lap to go. And Lemke and Zhu down the Almond Straight. This is a titanic battle here for P7 overall, P5. And Lemke has got Zhu to the inside. Zhu is through. So a change for position. Fifth now in the hands of the man from St. Kitts and Nevis in the 243.
Absolutely well done. You can see how Sunset, well, gets a little bit on the darker side. You've got to try and line it up. Also not get too close to the wall on the right-hand side. The bump can really take a chunk out of you. Michael Cummings now having a bit of a problem. He was a bit slower out of the corner. Now has Kevin for a bit of company as well, trying to apply that little bit of pressure. This is where it's going to be, folks. Let's think about getting it to the end. Let's try and keep it going till the end. But I've got to say, I think between all the drivers, Kevin Zhu, who made that early pit stop, got into fourth, a critical mistake threw him down the order, has most certainly got the red mist, and he's just trying to capitalize on whatever positions. Race everyone is what's running through that helmet.
Michael Brock now has a 2-second advantage as we are 60% of the way through the final lap of the race. And here comes the move from Kevin Zhu. He's going to go wheel to wheel with Michael Cummings, and to the outside goes the man from St. Kitts and Nevis. Could this open the door for Brian Lemke? Cummings defends, Zhu responds and gets a little bit of a sideways slide. However, he's right on the wheel tracks of Cummings in the latter stages of this race. This is going to be right down to the wire. A mid-pack Larry versus a Going Pro with another Going Pro behind. But meantime, we do need to concentrate on the man of the moment, Michael Brock. What a way to pick up what will be win number 4. The man in the 421, Mountain Dew Baja Blast car, comes out of Sunset Bend for the 22nd and final time. And it is going to be win number 4 out of 7 this season as he keeps a hold on the championship lead. Michael Brock victorious here at Sebring. Colin Winslow P2. Thomas Lathrop we're going to have a little bit of a wait for, but Kevin Zhu, Brian Lemke and Michael Cummings, they're going to be literally line astern coming across the line, or could that be a photo finish? Kenneth Ingersoll's going to win in mid-pack Larry's, but Cummings is possibly going to hold on here. Yes, he is. He comes out of the final corner. Zhu trying to chase him down. Lemke's not going to be in this fight. Cummings takes P6. Second in mid-pack Larry's, Zhu, Lemke, Tyndall and Mosby should be rounding out your official top 10. Spencer Baudouin will finish 11th overall ahead of Jack Stadola, who will conclude the top 3 on the podium for our mid-pack Larry's. But Michael Brock, another 20 points in the bag for the number 421 as we really kickstart the season here at Sebring ahead of Winslow and Lathrop. But what a battle we had right at the end between Messrs Cummings, Zhu and Lemke as the last of our drivers that will be coming across the line. I think we might be ending up with around about 28 maybe 29 finishers at the end of this all, as the night time has quite clearly we quite clearly have the nightfall here at Sebring. What a battle it has been all the way through this race. But Brock and Ingersoll pick up the W here in Florida.
Absolutely phenomenal stuff from our drivers, and what a race. Start to finish, it was all about trying to keep it together. Heading into the night, you had to go through the sunset to make it work, and well, it turned out to be quite a race for all our competitors, that's for certain.
Yeah, so we're just waiting for the final couple of drivers. I think Paul Bailey has crossed the line. Matt Bond is going to cross the line as well, and that is really going to wrap up how things stand here at week 7 out of 12 for the Apex this Porsche Cup Tuesdays here on Racer Nexus. And so we're just waiting for a couple more drivers to jump on in. I've requested that the top 3 from each respective class do join us, but let's have a quick look at the results. It was Kenneth Ingersoll winning by over 8.2 seconds ahead of Michael Cummings, who was having that great battle with Brian Lemke and Kevin Xu towards the end. Jack Stodola rounds out the top 3 ahead of Sean Tita. Joao Gabriel making some moves up the order. The Brazilian made 12 places to finish 5th in class, 14th overall ahead of John Monsal, Kenton Bandy, Ryan Christoph, Ken Kruger, and Sean Guru rounding out the top 10. Renee, Laum, Gierig, Menard, Bailey and Bond running at the top 16, but it's Michael Brock that picks up his 4th win in the Going Pros this season. That's going to give him at least another 21 points to his credit after 12 laps. He's led 12 laps, but he pretty much led most of them. He finishes 1.5 seconds ahead of Colin Winslow and Thomas Lathrop running out the top 3. Mark Miller, Kevin Xu, Lemke, Tyndall, Mosby, Boudoir, Mayer ran out the top 10, with Ryder, Schlosser, Exelu, Banks, Wallace and Zinn rounding out the top 16 in the class. So, with that being said, we're now going to go to the Apex Sim Racing post-race interview show here on Racer Nexus, and we're going to bring in our overall race winner. Out of 7 races so far, it's 4 wins for this man, Michael Brock. Good evening. That was a bit heart in the mouth over the first few laps, wasn't it?
Yeah, that was like a lot. That was really great between Colin, me, and Matt. Man, that was a pretty awesome battle. I think like a lot of these like P-cut races, just because they're so fast and they don't have a ton of draft, they become a little bit stale as far as battle. This one was great.
Yeah, I think also your pit stop. I mean, I still remember season 26 when myself and Chris Murphy were first in the booth doing the commentary back in the old GT4 days, and the pit stop was your nemesis all the while. But you've got a good handle. You were quicker than both Winslow and on Colin and Matt. You beat them quite considerably. I think by at least 3 to 5 tenths of a second in the pit lane. Mate, you are absolutely killing it when it comes to making sure that your pit stop is absolutely spot on, thanks to all the trials and tribulations you had in season 26.
Yeah, I think those couple seasons, I kind of like figured out every way to not do one. So now I just don't do those things that fail. So it's kind of working out. But even Colin, I mean, I don't know how Matt did, but like Colin, he had an awesome pit stop. His entry was exactly the same as mine. The only place that I got him, I think, was exiting the pits onto the track. So I don't know if I just did that better, or if maybe he got slowed up because it's kind of like coming up with like merging with traffic sometimes. Can be pretty weird there, but then Colin was chasing me down right at the end too. So it was was not easy at all. I was sweating.
Yeah, I'm thinking maybe if Matt, if he forgot to uncheck the tyre replacement, the fit tyres box going into his pit stop, because he was in the box for nearly 35 seconds. So he ended up 10th overall, North of 8th in class. But still, nevertheless, another great job, buddy. 4 wins out of 7. Zandvoort next week. How do you think that's going to work?
Zandvoort, man, it's a nice. Battling, it's going to be interesting. I think it's definitely a lot twistier, tighter track. So I think that it's a fun one to drive on. So yeah, I'm looking forward to it for sure.
Well, at least the good thing is you don't have to worry about Jen saying to you, Michael, you're sleeping on the couch again tonight because we're having a
Yeah,
chicken
right.
dinner, buddy. But yeah,
Oh my
I'm
God,
glad.
I have to tell you that this past couple of days have been pretty crazy at home though. Like yesterday, Jen went to the hospital. She was having some issues with her throat, like closing up. So and she's gonna be healthy and everything. Seems like she has some type of virus. So, but she's looking better now. But that was kind of scary. And then at the same time, my grandfather, who's been kind of like on his deathbed, he just died that same exact day.
Oh, my
Um,
condolences, buddy. My
yeah,
condolences.
yeah, thanks. And then today, lightning hit our chimney. Had to call the fire department.
Yeah. Oh dear. Yeah. Jen
So I
Jen
can't make
mentioned
this
that
up.
in the chat. So,
So
well,
this win was
yeah.
nice.
Yeah, it was kind of, they do say that bad things come in threes, and now you've had
Yeah,
a
yeah, yeah.
fourth that has made up for it quite nicely. But Mike, as always, buddy, a pleasure to chat to you. Before we let you go, who'd you like to give a shout out to for tonight's victory?
Yeah, so everyone at Apex this, you guys in the booth, and my lovely wife Jen, and a special shout out to my grandfather just passed.
Yeah, well, Mike, pleasure as always, buddy. Congratulations on your fourth win of season 28. We'll see you next week at Zandvoort. Well done.
All right, thanks.
Okay, next up, we're going to have a chat with a man that finished second to him, but put up a hell of a fight. Colin Winslow, good evening.
How's it going, boys?
Oh, well, you and Matt definitely gave Michael something to think about tonight, especially in those opening couple of laps before the pit stops then hit. And then Matt didn't have, I think, the best pit stop. He was in there for 35 seconds on his marks, unfortunately.
Ooh, sounds like a speeding penalty, probably.
Or he didn't uncheck the change tyres box.
Ooh, yep. That definitely could be the case as well.
But still,
But no.
nevertheless, still a very, very solid result. I mean, when you consider tonight's race was going to be fast, it was going to be frantic, and then, of course, the transition from sunset to nighttime added that little bit of additional tension, didn't it?
Yeah, it did. I didn't realize how late the race was starting, so once it started to get really dark, I was kind of caught off guard. But luckily, I think everybody knows Sebring so well, it wasn't too much of an issue.
Yeah. But still, it puts you in a very, very good place when you consider it. And then we go on to Zandvoort next week, Colin. I mean, how do you think things from your perspective are gonna work out with this Porsche Cup car?
I don't know. I haven't been to Zandvoort, and I couldn't even tell you when. I have not raced there in a while. I am starting to figure this car out a little bit, so hopefully that puts me close to the top three again. I think battling Michael and Matt was a ton of fun today, so hopefully I can be up there again next week.
Brilliant. Well, Colin, before we let you go, anyone you'd like to give a shout out to in particular for this second place finish here tonight at Sebring?
Yeah, shout out to my wife who's just watching right now, and shout out to the guys at Apex that run this league. They do a great job. So.
Brilliant. Well, Colin, well done tonight. We'll see you next week at week 8. I can't believe I'm saying that now. At Circuit Zandvoort. Well done tonight.
Sounds good. Appreciate it, boys.
Okay, so we go from the going pros to the mid-pack Larrys. Kenneth Ingersoll now is brought into the Apex Sim Racing post-race interview show. Kenneth, I hope you can hear me. Congratulations on a well-deserved victory. I think P4 at the end of that.
Yeah. That was pretty good. I was just talking to a couple friends of mine. Sebring has always been very good to me, and I'm not real sure why. It's not even a track I particularly like, but I tend to do well there.
Well, apart from the 20 points that you've just picked up for the race win, you've also picked up an additional point for regarding clean racing, and also one for pole position in the class. So that gives you 22 points tonight. So a nice little bit of a gathering of scores on the doors, so to speak.
Yeah, it's looking pretty good so far. Yeah, I've had some pretty good luck in these races. I haven't really had any incidents, and I've managed to keep it clean. I think that's gonna be pretty helpful. The clean points really go a long way. So that can be really helpful in the championship.
Well, considering the fact that every one of the 5 races so far you've competed in, you weren't with us at VIR nor at Brands Hatch, but every
No.
single race you have won. So are you trying to take a leaf out of Zach Peterson's book from last season in the mid-pack Larrys? Because he won 10 out of 12 races.
Holy cow! Well, I would love to be able to repeat that, but I would imagine that's gonna be pretty difficult.
But still, nevertheless, it's a good showing of what you've been capable of in this Porsche P Cup car. I think a lot of drivers are now really, this second season the first season that we've used it, everyone's now starting to get to grips with an open setup. But I like the fact that everyone's in the same car, so everyone's got the same tools at their disposal, and it's always about making the best of it. It's like you said in the Discord, I think you just typed now to the rest of the gang here at Apex that it's all about putting the practice, get the miles under your belt, and understand the car, isn't it?
Yeah, totally. I mean, that's been a big thing for me. I've always joked that I only seem to have the RAM for one vehicle at a time. So when this car came out, I enjoyed driving it, and it's really all I drive. I find that when I bounce around a lot, that it seems to make consistency very difficult. But every once in a while I'll hop in the LMP2 and do some enduros, but they're few and far between at the moment.
Well, that's going to also, this win tonight extends your lead over Keegan Gierig, who had a bit of a difficult race. And I can now tell you, you're leading by 14 points ahead of Sean Teeter. Keegan's a further 5 behind. And then Kent Kruger's a further 2 behind. So we're talking 21 points, 22 if you include Jack Sodola in P5, between the top 5 at the moment. It is looking to be it's really getting close in all the championships, but nevertheless, congratulations on the win at Sebring. Thoughts about Zandvoort next week for round 8?
I have to work, so I'm going to miss it, unfortunately.
Okay, well, you can take that as a drop score, but nevertheless, Kenneth.
Yeah.
Or can I call you Ken? Is that all right?
Ken's perfect.
Okay, right, Ken. So does that mean we will see you back at St. Pete on August the 11th for round 9?
That's right. That'll be an interesting round. That's a tight course, a lot of walls. I anticipate a chaotic race.
Well, Ken, congratulations on the W. You're 5th on all your appearances so far. We're going to miss you at Zandvoort, but we look forward to having you back at round 9 in a couple of weeks at St. Pete. Before we let you go, anyone you want to give a shout out to reference tonight's victory?
No, I really am. The whole league in general is what I would really like to shout out. I mean, this is extremely well run. The production value is fantastic. I just this is really has breathed a lot of life into and enjoyment into the sim for me. This is fantastic. I really enjoy it. Well done to everybody that participates.
Brilliant. There we go, folks. You heard it from the man himself, our leader in the mid-pack Larry's, 5 wins out of 7 appearances, Ken Ingersoll. Ken, congratulations, and we'll see you in a couple of weeks on the streets of St. Pete. Well done tonight.
Sounds great. Have a great night.
Well, we've got one more interview to wrap up our Apex Sim Racing post-race interview show, and it's the man that finished P2, Michael Cummings. Good evening.
Hello, hello.
Well, you definitely had your mirrors filled of Zhu and Lemke coming across that line after 22 laps. But still, a P2, that's 18 points on the board for you here in the mid-pack Larry's division. You must be feeling pretty good after that.
Yeah, I'm just happy to survive. I was just looking at my mirrors that whole last lap and thought I had more time than I did when I screwed up the end of lap 22 and let them right in, and very happy that they raced clean. And I apologize for Kevin Zhu. He was definitely faster than me, but yeah, happy with the finish.
Well, you had to defend that line. I mean, it was a battle for on-track position, and sometimes if you can get one up on a going pro or something like that, it's all good. But again, it was a race where we did see in the early few laps of this encounter here at Sebring that some drivers were on cloud nine. Some drivers were feeling a bit down in the doldrums with dramas and incidents. But you weathered the storm. You kept your powder dry, and that's one of the big things you need to do here around at Sebring.
Yeah, it's so bumpy that it's very, very difficult to get aggressive. And I always say the best ability is availability. So just trying to keep four wheels on the track and make it to the finish line at the end without too many slip ups, and try and stay out of the incidents.
Yeah, I mean, when you think about it, I mean, this is your second appearance. I mean, we did see you at Brands Hatch where you picked up 10 points, but you know, to finish second, that's a nice little improvement in terms of the competitive nature here on Apex this Porsche Cup season 28 on Tuesday nights.
Yeah, it's more just time in the car. I don't really drive the P Cup car too often, and kind of getting used to those bumps, and just feels like you're driving a pogo stick some laps. But for the most part, it's become a little bit more comfortable to me, and we'll see about next week.
Yeah, Circuit Zandvoort should be an interesting one on the North Sea coast. But Michael, thank you so much for your time, for speaking to us here in the Apex Sim Racing post-race interview show. And once again, congratulations on the P2 finish. Hopefully you can break Ken Ingersoll's win of 5 wins so far out of 7 appearances. But before we let you go, anyone you'd like to give a shout out to tonight?
Well, you guys, I appreciate y'all doing this and putting the effort into these streams. They're great. You guys do an awesome job. Same with Kent and all the guys over at Apex for putting on these races. They're a lot of fun, something that we look forward to every week. And give my wife a shout out. Hopefully she's feeling better. But that's about it. I appreciate y'all.
Brilliant, Michael. Get well. Hopefully your wife gets well soon. And thanks for jumping into the booth to speak to us. We'll see you next week at Circuit Zandvoort for week 8 out of 12. Well done tonight.
Thank you. Be good, boys.
Well, that is it for the Apex Sim Racing post-race interview show. Good to hear from our top 2 in both respective classes there, Steve. I mean, 41 cars got onto the grid for qualifying. 40 cars started the race. I think we had 29 at the end. I was expecting more of a rate of attrition that there would normally be accompanying here at Sebring, but it wasn't that bad. There was a lot of good, clean, hard rubbings racing competition out there tonight.
No, it was absolutely amazing. And I do think we're in for an absolute treat heading into the final rounds of it. Zandvoort is definitely going to be one that people are either going to love or hate. And for some, it might actually be the advantage needed in the championship to really fight your way through. But streaks are being made, and well, streaks need to be broken. You can be sure there is a lot of drivers that are hungry to go and take the top spots.
Well, that pretty much wraps up our live coverage here on the Racer Nexus Broadcast Network for week 7 out of 12. Coming up on the schedule, you can catch Throttle Freaks GT3, currently underway at the moment. 9 p.m. Eastern Wednesday night, American Sim Racing League Indy Next. Thursday, 9:30 p.m. Eastern, Freedom Motorsport Alliance WEC. Special Stage Pro Trucks, 9 p.m. Eastern on Friday. That will see Matt Schlosser in action again as well. Breaking Bad Pushing Limits GT3 Saturday at 11 p.m. Eastern, and then Sunday 9 p.m. Eastern for Freedom Motorsport Gen 4, Apex this Mazda Cup, and the next round of the High Point Racing GT World Challenge. We'll also have this coming I think we might be having a break. I'm not sure if HPR IMSA is going to be happening this coming week, but what a race it has been. Both Michael Brock and Ken Ingersoll continue their winning ways, and they both lead heading into Zandvoort next week. We'll have to wait for a couple of weeks to see if Ken Ingersoll can make it 6 out of 9 appearances this season in terms of race wins. But Michael Brock picks up his 4th win of the season here at Sebring, which means we go to the North Sea coast and we say goodbye Sebring and say hello to the land of stroopwafels, croquettes, and so much more, even the land of Max Verstappen as we head to Zandvoort next week. A big thank you to Apex Sim Racing, Track Cams for Gourmets, trackcams22.com, also Apex This, More to the point, if you want to get a 5% discount off of anything that you need, such as direct drive, wheelbases, steering wheels, pedals, and so much more, head to the referral link in the description down below and use the coupon code on checkout for 5% discount on all purchases Apex this. Here on the Racer Nexus broadcast network, up here in the global broadcast booth, you've been in the company of Alex Goldschmidt and Steve Koenig. We bid you goodbye from Florida, and we head to the North Sea coast as Zandvoort will kickstart the business end of Season 28 of the Apex this Porsche Cup Tuesdays Championship, live here on Racer Nexus. Until next time, thank you so much for watching, good night, and see you in a week.